Okay, before I say anything, no, this is not clickbait, and at least let me explain. So yeah, I called Fear Street 1994 kinda brilliant. I was originally planning on reviewing all three in one video, and if all goes well, maybe I'll still do that, but there's something I want to discuss about this one, which is the only one that has been released so far. Also, spoiler warning, because that is the only way I can talk about why I find this movie brilliant, so without further ado, let's get into it. I will say, when I first watched the film, I kinda thought it was just decent, because some things about it are pretty great, such as how well shot it is, and how well done the world building is, but there are some gaping flaws with the acting being very generic, as well as the score, and the very unoriginal group of characters that took a lot of inspiration from it and Stranger Things. Even when I first finished the movie, it didn't exactly click with me at first, but then suddenly, after thinking about it and the movie as a whole, I finally got why this movie is kind of brilliant. The reason why the rest of this movie isn't nearly as good as the ending is because it tried as hard as it could to make you think something else was going to happen. Now, maybe I'm just being a pretentious idiot once again and I'm overthinking this, but if you really think about it, throughout a lot of the film, a lot of generic, bland things happen that you would normally expect from a movie like this, and you think all the characters are going to survive. Well, nope. Two of the main kids die and it's completely out of nowhere, which is even better. There isn't any build up to what's going to happen. You're just kind of relaxing, watching this all unfold until all of a sudden, bam, two of the main characters die out of nowhere. Then when Sarah finally dies and then comes back to life, we think it's all over, but that lady that survived one of the killings calls them back, which I know makes no sense since they called from a different phone line, and I'm going to be honest, that's one of my biggest issues, but hey, they had to tell us somehow how this would work, or else you'd be complaining how the ending makes no sense. Then at the end of the movie, Sarah's possessed, nearly kills Dina, then Dina ends up tying her up, and then the movie ends. Wow. Now, I definitely don't think it's perfect. There are definitely a lot of obvious flaws, but if anything, that was an unexpected ending that sort of twists, in a way, the normal tropes that we see in horror movies now. Like I stated before, the more generic horror movie elements with bland characters, very unemotional scenes that try so hard to be emotional, and the most generic horror scenes you could ever really see. But this all builds it up to have it in a completely different direction that ends up fooling us into what we ended up really getting. I know this movie won't have the impact at all like Night of the Living Dead or Psycho, but if this film gets enough attention, it might in a way become somewhat of a modern day horror groundbreaker.